This is Monica Perez, and we are here with the ninth installment of our discussion of Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. We're on book 10. We're going to have one more show after this. That's going to be books 11 and 12. And then we're going to have a conversation about it with, I'm super excited, Daniel Natal, who was one of my one of the shows that had the highest downloads, listens as like any other show. People just love him. Because he's humorous. But he did a reading of Meditations. A lot of people, I did not know. Like, I'm so such an autodidact or whatever. Like, I don't know that everybody knows what they know or what they don't know. I don't know what's common knowledge, or I don't know. I'm just a nerd. So I liked it, and I'm reading it, and we're reading it together, and then we're going to chat with Daniel. Hi, Stella. Yeah, so it is a holiday week. I hate to date an evergreen show like this, but tomorrow's Christmas Eve, and it is crazy here. People are running around like nuts. It's about to absolutely pour rain. So people are battening down the hatches, and especially here, I think they might even have an evacuation order up in my neighborhood in where there are burn scars, they call them. But I happen to be a couple of streets more elevated. Like, there's a street. I don't understand why they didn't tell. Like, they built a house at the bottom of the street. But when you look at the street, it's just a straight, like, avenue straight up to the top of the mountain. And on the edges are ditches. That's like kind of common here. And I think a great friend of the show, Nacho Slave, who spent a lot of time in Altadena, I think he's from Altadena, said it's a lot of drainage here. So that street, the mud just washes down that street, and it dumped right onto somebody's house last time. And I'm talking about like in 2025. So I think it's very clear how that goes. So I'm not worried about it, but I get a lot of frantic texts from my East Coast relatives, like, oh my gosh, they're talking about mudslides. So no, none of that. Just a gully washer, good old fashioned gully washer. Anyway, so it's a weird day to stop down and have a show. So thank you for joining me. And you can always listen to this Saturday story time, Saturday mornings on your favorite podcasting platform on the Monica Perez Show. And, you could support me on Substack if you wanted. And that's that. Let's hit it. All right, book 10. Will you then, my soul, never be good and simple and one and naked, more manifest than the body that surrounds you? Will you never enjoy an affectionate and contented disposition? Will you never be full and without a want of any kind, longing for nothing more, nor desiring anything, either animate or inanimate, for the enjoyment of pleasures? Nor yet desiring time wherein you shall have longer enjoyment, or place or pleasant climate, or society of men with whom you might live in harmony? But will you be satisfied with your present condition and pleased with all that is around you? And will you convince yourself that you have everything and that it comes from the gods, that everything is well for you and will be well, whatever shall please them, and whatever they shall give for the conservation of the perfect living being, the good and just and beautiful, which generates and holds together all things, and contains and embraces all things that are dissolved for the production of other like things? Will you never be such that you shall so dwell in community with gods and men as neither to find fault with them at all, nor to be condemned by them? Observe what your nature requires, so far as you are governed by nature only. Then do it and accept it. If your nature, so far as you are a living being, shall not be made worse by it. And next, you must observe what your nature requires, so far as you are a living being. And all this you may allow yourself if your nature, so far as you are a rational animal, shall not be made worse by it. But the rational animal is consequently also a political social animal. Use these rules then and trouble yourself about nothing else. You know, I'm thinking this is kind of a short chapter. I'm only interrupting so that people know if they get a little bored with this, that something cool is going to happen at the end. I want to read Elegy in a Country Churchyard. Uh, just because this guy talks about death so much and it's so perfect for that, but he may be pulling away from the death talk. So let's squeeze it in while we have a show that's a little short. And next show is going to be super long. Oh, Stella is saying Aussies are required age verification to get on Substack now. You may have lost a handful of us. Yeah, because they won't, because they do it. As soon as I saw that, my husband was actually in Australia when that went down a couple of weeks ago. And I think he just texted me a headline. He didn't have any comment. And I'm just always thinking people are like, oh, isn't that awesome? Just like automatically. And of course, my first thought was they can tell by your face how old you are just because. So, I mean, it's just a absolute positive gateway to total information awareness, which requires facial and gait and whatever. Yeah. So, yeah, that's lame. But all right, screw it. Just keep moving. Yeah, so let's keep moving. Everything that happens either happens in such a way as you are formed by nature to bear it, like that old you don't get more than you can handle, which or as you are not formed by nature to bear it. If then it happens to you in such a way as you are formed by nature to bear it, do not complain, but bear it accordingly. But if it happens in such a way as you are not formed by nature to bear it, do not complain, for it will perish after it has consumed you. That's the spirit. Remember, however, that you are formed by nature to bear everything whose tolerability depends on your own opinion to make it so, by thinking that it is in your interest or duty to do so. If a man is mistaken, instruct him kindly and show him his error. That's a work of mercy. But if you are not able, blame yourself or not even yourself. Whatever may happen to you, it was prepared for you from all eternity. And the implication of causes was from eternity, spinning the thread of your being and that which is incident to it. The dog won't stop pacing and sighing outside the door. He just like the last dog, Samson, never missed a podcast. Arturo's the same way. Weird, right? Maybe they like the sound of the master's voice. And the irony of that comment is not lost on me. Okay. Whether the universe is a concourse of atoms or nature is a system. Oh, I do want to address this though. Stella said the kids are creative with workarounds. My opinion is this thing was absolutely positively designed to fail, completely designed to fail. They do not want to keep kids off social media. They're just going to hoover up as many faces as they can and then say it was a failure. That's that. All right, whether the universe is a concourse of atoms or nature is a system, let this first be established that I am a part of the whole that is governed by nature. Next, that I stand in some intimate connection with other kindred parts. For remembering this, inasmuch as I am a part, I shall be discontented with none of the things that are assigned to me out of the whole. For nothing is injurious to the part of it is for the advantage of the whole, to the part if it is for the advantage of the whole. For the whole contains nothing that is not for its advantage. And all natures indeed have this common principle. But the nature of the universe has this principle besides, that it cannot be compelled, even by any external cause, to generate anything harmful to itself. Maybe that's my mosquito thing. My mother's like, why did God make mosquitoes? Why? Why are they a part of creation? And of course, it's for the birds or whatever, and to spread AIDS. That's what she was saying. But of course, God didn't create AIDS. By remembering then that I am a part of such a whole, I shall be content with everything that happens. And inasmuch as I am in a manner intimately related to kindred parts, I shall do nothing unsocial, but I shall rather direct myself to the things that are akin to me, and I shall turn all my effort to the common interest and withhold it from the contrary. Now, if these things are done so, life must flow on happily. Just as you may observe that a happy citizen is one who continues a course of action that is advantageous to his fellow citizens and is content with whatever the state may assign to him. I mean, this guy definitely smacks a emperor and not subject, if you know what I'm saying. Just be happy. Just as I used to say for Anthony Fauci, things a rapist might say. Um, we've got some paw licking, but me yelling stop at Arturo is bad radio, I'm told. So I try not to yell at him anymore. Okay. The parts of the whole, everything, I mean, that is naturally comprehended in the universe must of necessity perish. Perish in the sense of undergo change. But if this is naturally both an evil and a necessity for the parts, the whole would not continue to exist in good condition, the parts being subject to change and constituted so as to perish in various ways. Did nature herself design to do evil to the things that are parts of herself and to make them subject to evil and of necessity fall into evil? Or have such results happened without her knowing it? Both of these suppositions indeed are incredible. But if a man should even drop the term nature as an efficient power and should speak of these things as natural, even then it would be ridiculous to affirm at the same time that the parts of the whole are in their nature subject to change, and at the same time to be surprised or vexed as if something were happening contrary to nature, particularly as the dissolution of things is into those things of which each thing is composed. For there is either a dispersion of the elements out of which everything has been compounded, or a change from the solid to the earthy and from the airy to the aerial, so that these parts are taken back into the universal reason. Whether this at certain periods is consumed by fire or renewed by eternal changes. And do not imagine that the solid and the airy part belong to you from the time of generation. For all this received its accretion only yesterday and the day before, as one may say, from the food eaten and the air breathed. What changes then is that which has received the accretion, not that which your mother brought forth. But suppose that this which your mother brought forth implicates you very much with that other part, which has the peculiar quality of change. This has no bearing on the present argument. When you have assumed these names, good, modest, truthful, rational, a man of equanimity and magnanimous, take care that you do not change these names. And if you should lose them, quickly return to them. And remember that the term rational was intended to signify a discriminating attention to every object and freedom from negligence, and that equanimity is the voluntary acceptance of the things that are assigned to you by the common nature, and that magnanimity is the elevation of the intelligent part above the pleasurable or painful sensations of the flesh, and above that poor thing called fame and death and all such things. If then you maintain yourself in the possession of these names without desiring to hear them addressed to you by others, you will be another person and will enter on another life. For to continue to be such as you have hitherto been, and to be torn in pieces and defiled in such a life, is the character of a very stupid man and one overfond of his life, like those half devoured fighters with wild beasts who, though covered with wounds and gore, still beg to be kept to the following day, though they will be exposed in the same state to the same claws and bites. Hmm. Was that a like Christian thing? Half devoured fighters with wild beasts who, though covered with wounds and gore, beg to be kept to the following day. Therefore, fix yourself in the possession of these few names. And if you are able to abide in them, abide as if you were removed to certain isles of the blessed. But if you feel yourself adrift and cannot maintain your hold, go courageously into some nook where you can maintain them, or even depart at once from life, not in passion, but with simplicity and freedom and modesty. after doing this one laudable thing, at least in your life, to have gone out of it thus. Die with dignity? Somebody's saying? I mean, I think the whole book is about dying with dignity. And yes, to endure is Stoic. In order, however, to hold to the remembrance of these names, it will greatly help you if you remember the gods and that they wish not to be flattered, but wish all reasonable beings to be made like themselves. And remember that what does the work of a fig tree is a fig tree. That's another. The Scott was die with dignity, and William says the purpose of a system is what the system does, not what it's claimed the purpose of the system is. It's what it does. So, what does the work of a fig tree is a fig tree. And that what does the work of a dog is a dog. And that what does the work of a bee is a bee. And that what does the work of a man is a man. And that what does the work of a giant energy consuming machine is a giant energy consuming machine. That was me. I added that. Play acting, war, astonishment, torpor, slavery will daily wipe out those holy principles of yours. How many things without studying nature do you imagine, and how many do you neglect? But it is your duty to look on and to do everything in such a way that simultaneously you carry through the present task, give full play to the faculty of pure thought, and achieve the confidence that comes from maintaining a knowledge unobtruded yet unconcealed of each individual thing. For when will you enjoy simplicity, when gravity, and when the knowledge of each individual thing, both what it is in substance and what place it has in the universe, and how long it is formed to exist, and of what things it is compounded, and to whom it can belong, and who are able both to give it and take it away. Yes, this is, I always thought the fundamental question of really of politics, of like a political ideology was, how do you claim ownership of land? How do you claim ownership of land? Mixing your soil with the toil? Is it a gift from God? Is it a gift from your parents? Like, how do you first appropriate land into individual ownership? And if you think an individual can just work it and own it, which is what I think, then the whole system flows from there. It's kind of like Aristotle versus Plato, whatever. But if you think it's the nation that owns what's underneath the land, or if you wasn't it the Georgists who said, and I think the one who wrote Common Sense, who wrote Thomas Paine, I think he thought this too. They thought that land could not be owned. So all taxes or whatever would just be rent on land that is owned in common, which of course just means the government, and what could possibly go wrong with that? But anyway, so he's saying you need to know to whom a thing can belong. This is worth pondering. Let's go back and I'm going to read that entire paragraph again. Play acting, war, astonishment, torpor, slavery will daily wipe out those holy principles of yours. How many things without studying nature do you imagine, and how many do you neglect? But it is your duty to look on and to do everything in such a way that simultaneously you carry through the present task, give full play to the faculty of pure thought, and achieve the confidence that comes from maintaining a knowledge, unobtruded yet unconcealed, of each individual thing. For when will you enjoy simplicity, when gravity, when the knowledge of each individual thing, both what it is in substance and what place it has in the universe, and how long it's formed to exist, and what things it is compounded of, and to whom it can belong, and who are able both to give it and take it away. A spider is proud when it has caught a fly, one man when he has caught a poor hare, and another when he has taken a little fish in a net, and another when he has taken wild boars, and another when he has taken bears, and another when he has taken sarmatians. And not these robbers, if you examine their opinions, are not these robbers, if you examine their opinions. Acquire the contemplative way of seeing how all things change into one another and constantly attend to it and exercise yourself about this part of philosophy. For nothing is so much adapted to produce magnanimity. Such a man has put off the body, and as he sees that he must, no one knows how soon, go away from among men and leave everything here. He gives himself up entirely to just doing in all his actions and in everything else that happens. He resigns himself to the universal nature. But as to what any man shall say or think about him or do against him, he never even thinks of it, being himself contented with these two things, with acting justly in what he now does, and being satisfied with what is now assigned to him. And he lays aside all distracting and busy pursuits and desires nothing else than to accomplish the straight course through the law, and by accomplishing the straight course, to follow God. What need is there of suspicious fear, since it is in your power to inquire what ought to be done? And if you see clearly, go by this way content, without turning back. But if you do not see clearly, stop and take the best advisers. But if any other things oppose you, go on according to your powers with due consideration, keeping to that which appears to be just. For it is best to reach this object. And if you fail, let your failure be in attempting this. Agreed. He who follows reason in all things is both tranquil and active at the same time, and also cheerful and collected. Inquire of yourself as soon as you wake from sleep whether it will make any difference to you if another does what is just and right. It will make no difference. You have not forgotten, I suppose, that those who assume arrogant airs in bestowing their praise or blame on others are such as they are in bed and at board. And you have not forgotten what they do and what they avoid and what they pursue and how they steal and how they rob, not with hands and feet, but with their most valuable part, by means of which there is produced, when a man chooses, fidelity, modesty, truth, law, a good daemon, happiness. To her who gives and takes back all to nature, the man who is instructed and modest says, give what you will, take back what you will. And he says this not proudly, but obediently and well pleased with her. You know, that the paragraph where he says, like, these people with arrogant airs and all that, and you know what they're like constantly. And he says, well, just accept what's natural and just roll with that. I find that the concept of eternal justice, like you die and you are judged and you are rewarded if you come out net good and you're punished if you come out net bad. It's like a little cute. Like, it's a little bit too cute. I mean, I know I'm Catholic and nothing's more like that than Catholicism. But it's effective. It is effective. And that's why I think secular humanism doesn't really work, because you're just not going to treat people that well if nobody's watching and if they don't deserve it. See, that's the thing. We don't deserve it, right? We deserve to eat what we kill, basically. So I don't know. I just feel like it's easier to live the way he wants to live if you're kicking through the board. You're looking through the board. But maybe he'll give us a little more, put a little more meat on those bones. You have but a short time left to live. Live as on a mountain, for it makes no difference whether a man lives there or here. If he lives everywhere in the world, as in a state, a political community, let men see, let them know a real man who lives according to nature. If they cannot adore him, let them kill him, for that is better than to live thus as men do. Good point. Life brings enough judgment, Stella says. Life does bring enough judgment, but I think that that's a great point. And that's good enough for me. But it seems like the entire point of sociology, psychology, the welfare state, the bullshit that they're giving us about having to kill people in Venezuela and Syria and wherever, which the Venezuela thing, it's I I'm flabbergasted. I cannot believe that we're just that the empire is just murdering people in our name as voters. Like, that's why you just cannot vote in federal elections anymore. It's giving them a beard that this is something that somehow some legitimate process arrived at. No. But I feel like all this stuff, psychology, sociology, all of this is meant to disconnect our understanding of actions and consequences. So if you're a huge jerk and you can't hold down a job and nobody loves you and it's your own fault, I'm not saying that's always your fault, but it's your own fault, you get welfare just like the guy whose fault it isn't. And the guy whose fault it isn't, the people around him might notice and help. They always had mutual aid societies. Then you have to live in a community. You have to do what he's saying. So maybe that is it. Maybe because this was before all that crap, he's like, just live in the community. And that would have worked. Voting is illusory. Don't feel bad, my dear scapegoat voters. I mean, yeah, but stop doing it. Because if 80 million or 160 million or however many people, like, they're literally have more votes than voters, by the way. I've noticed that from time to time. If nobody showed up at the polls and they had like 10 million votes, I think it would be pretty clear that when we say we don't want another war president, that's what we mean. And since they're all war presidents, can't vote for president. I mean, every single person I know who had to like bite the bullet and vote orange told me it was because he was going to end the Ukraine war on day one. Just makes me want to cry. Anyway, no longer talk at all about the kind of man that a good man ought to be, but be such. That's true. I'm going to not kill people. So I'm just going to be what I expect. Constantly contemplate the whole, here's one other thing. So I always say you get elected to president, you start killing people. You have to. That's just what you do. Obama had the Tuesday kill list, whatever. And I said, Mitt Romney's so lucky he's not a murderer. He didn't get elected. He's not a murderer. My son sent me this clip of some press guy asking Trump, like, are you going to ask for a declaration of war? Which is an absolute BS question. No, we haven't had a declaration of war in 85 years. Is that right? It's not a legitimate question. I mean, it's not. It's obviously we don't do that anymore. But then Trump said, yeah, no, we're just going to kill him. We're going to kill people we don't like who are running drugs or whatever, who we claim are running drugs, isn't what he said, but extrajudicial killing. We're going to kill them and they'll be dead. And another time he said, yeah, I don't think I'm going to go to heaven. It's like, yeah, you're killing people. At least he is smart enough to know maybe he was in a bind. I mean, not that that's an excuse, but like there's something going on in his head. It's not what people say, but it's something. Anyway, let's get back to meditations. Breathe. Constantly contemplate the whole of time and the whole of substance, and consider that all individual things, as to substance, are a seed of a fig, and as to time, the turning of a gimlet. I could use a gimlet. Yeah. Ask somebody to turn me a gimlet right about now. It's the holidays. Look at everything that exists and observe that it is already in dissolution and in change, and as it were, putrefaction or dispersion, or that everything is so constituted by nature as to die. Yes, I think it was through reading this that I realized I had that epiphany of why we're so pissed about like AI and what's happening. It's happening. It's happening. And the world is changing to where it would be unrecognizable to the people who were our age the last time war was declared. Totally unrecognizable. And but that too will pass. That too will pass. I think what the problem is, I think what the problem is that we have no control over it. We have fear that it's going to be really not only result in extremely immoral and unpleasant place to live, but with like nanobots and mRNA and epigenetics that we may even be actually transformed, you know, the transhumanist agenda and stuff like that, like really just giving that we're at the precipice of potentially the end of humanity as we know it. What a terrible husbands we've been. What terrible shepherds we've been of the sheep. But we don't think intergenerationally. Whoever's fault it was, I think was long before us. But we won't see it end. We won't see the dissolution. We are only going to be left with this cliffhanger. and and that's not good. And there's no way to plan. There's no way to impart your wisdom to your kids. Like, if this happens, do this, because we really don't know. I mean, you can definitely like get your Chinese English dictionary, like for sure. So your descendants can read the books. But I mean, there's stuff that you can do. Definitely teach them ethics and morals. And I like religion. I would, teach my kids religion. And give them the natural health book that Stella recommended. Was it, I want to say like Donna Hill? Who is it? It's probably here somewhere. Anyway, I have many copies. But when you read this guy writing, however long ago it was, a couple thousand years ago, everything's going to pass. He's 100% right. He's 100% right. It will be a shame if they nanobot us out of existence. That will suck. But those of us who still have souls still have a chance, of entering the great cosmic goodness. But yeah, like I realized from reading this, like it's going to pass. It is going to pass. There are not going to be some transhuman overlords 1,000 years from now that control everything. That's just not gonna be. But it might take 1,000 years. I mean, how long will it take for them to use all of the energy on Earth? Not that long. Not 1,000 years. Okay. I'm ranting. Sorry. Consider what men are when they are eating, sleeping, coupling, evacuating, and so forth. Okay. Then what kind of men they are when they are imperious and arrogant or angry. Okay, so imagine them naked. Or angry and scolding from their elevated place. But a short time ago, to how many they were slaves and for what things. And after a little time, consider in what a condition they will be. Yes, Dorothy Hall, Natural Health Book. I bought every copy I could get my hands on. Every single person in my house has one of those, and I have two. And Barbara O'Neill, yes, I'm not sure if I have that one. But Dorothy Hall has a privileged place in the tunnel backpack, for sure. Okay, so what the universal nature brings to everything is for the benefit of that thing, and it is for its benefit at the time when nature brings it. The earth is in love with showers, and the majestic sky is in love. That's a quote. And the universe loves to make whatever is about to be. I say then to the universe that I love as you love. And is not this too said that this or that loves to happen? Either you live here and have already accustomed yourself to it, or you are going away, and this was your will, or you are dying and have discharged your duty. But besides these things, there is nothing. Be of good cheer then. Let this always be plain to you, that this piece of land is like any other, and that all things here are the same as things on the top of a mountain or on the seashore or wherever you choose to be. For you will find just what Plato says, dwelling within the walls of a city as in a shepherd's fold on a mountain and milking flocks. What is my ruling faculty now to me? And of what nature am I now making it? And for what purpose am I now using it? Is it void of understanding? Is it loosed and rent asunder from social life? Is it melted into and mixed with the poor flesh so as to move together with it? He who flies from his master is a runaway, but the law is master, and he who breaks the law is a runaway. And he also who is grieved or angry or afraid is dissatisfied because something has been or is or shall be of the things that are appointed by him who rules all things. And he is law and assigns to every man what is fit. He then who fears or is grieved or is angry is a runaway. A man deposits seed in a womb and goes away. And then another cause takes it and labors on it and makes a child. What a thing from such a material. So when my son was pretty young, he said, "How can a baby look like its dad? Something must happen." And I was like, "I don't know, ask your dad. I don't know, ask your dad." I don't know why I wouldn't tell him. He was too young. It's like, "I don't know, ask your dad." And then finally he said, I think it's when they kiss on the altar because something must pass from the man to the woman." I was like, "You're getting closer." But finally he read, I bought him a book on like animals. He was so mad. He threw it at me and he was like, "This is disgusting." And it said how they mate. That was bad. But he's all right. You guys know him. He's a good guy. Um, okay. Again, the child passes food down the throat, and then another cause takes it and makes perception and motion, and in fine life and strength and other things. How many and how strange! Observe then the things that are produced in such a hidden way, and see the power, just as we see the power that carries things downward and upward, not with the eyes, but still no less plainly. Constantly consider how all things such as they now are, in time past also were, and consider that they will be the same again. And place before your eyes entire dramas and stages of the same form. Whatever you have learned from your experience or from older history, for example, the whole court of Hadrian and the whole court of Antoninus and the whole court of Philip, Alexander, Croesus, for all those were dramas such as we see now, only with different actors. Imagine every man who is grieved at anything or discontented to be like a pig that is sacrificed and kicks and screams. Like this pig also is he who on his bed in silence laments the bonds in which we are held. Laments the bonds in which we are held. Consider that only to the rational animal is it given to follow voluntarily what happens, but simply to follow is a necessity imposed on all. In everything that you do, pause and ask yourself if death is a dreadful thing because it deprives you of this. Yay! Daniel Nuttall. Did you hear? I told everybody that you're going to do this with me. You were going to talk about this. I have one more segment after. So this is one show. I did one more show, and then hopefully we'll have our chat in the can, as it were. So I'm super excited. What the heck? Yeah, okay. I lost my place for a second there. Sorry, which I don't usually do. Okay. When you are offended at any man's fault, immediately turn to yourself and reflect in what manner you yourself have erred. For example, in thinking that money is a good thing or pleasure or a bit of reputation and the like. For by attending to this, you will quickly forget your anger if you consider that the man is compelled. For what else could he do? Or if you are able, take away from him the compulsion. When you have seen Satyron, the Socratic, think of either Eutyches or Hymen. Sorry, my Greek is rusty. And when you have seen Euphrates, think of Eutychion or Sylvanus. And when you have seen Alciphron, think of Tropeophorus. I think he's trolling me. And when you have seen Xenophon, think of Crito or Severus. And when you have looked at yourself, think of one of the Caesars. And so, by analogy, in every case, then let this thought be in your mind: where are they now? Nowhere, or nobody knows where. For thus, continuously, you will look at human things as smoke and as nothing at all, especially if you reflect at the same time that what has once changed will never exist again throughout eternity. But you, in what a brief space of time is your existence. And why are you not content to pass through this short time in an orderly way? What matter and opportunity for your activity are you avoiding? For what else are all these things except exercises for the reason, when it has viewed carefully and by examination into their nature the things that happen in life? Persevere then until you have made these things your own, as a strong stomach assimilates every food, as the blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it. Let it not be in any man's power to say truly of you that you are not simple or that you are not good. If anyone thinks anything of this kind about you, let him be a liar. And this is altogether in your power. For who is he that will hinder you from being good and simple? Resolve then to live no longer unless you shall be such. For neither does reason allow you to live if you are not such. Taking our material into account, what can be done or said in the way most conformable to reason? For whatever this may be, it is in your power to do it or to say it, and do not make excuses that you are hindered. You will not cease to lament until you find that the utilizing, in a manner consistent with the constitution of man, of the material presented to you and cast in your way, shall be to you what indulgence is to the sensual. For a man ought to consider as an enjoyment everything which it is in his power to do according to his own nature, and it is in his power everywhere. Now, it is not given to a cylinder to move everywhere by its own motion, nor yet to water, nor to fire, nor to anything else that is governed by nature or an irrational soul. For the things that check them and stand in the way are many. But intelligence and reason are able to go through everything that opposes them, and in such manner as they are formed by nature and as they choose. Plus, before your eyes, this facility with which reason will be carried through all things, as fire upward, as a stone downward, as a cylinder down an inclined surface, and seek for nothing further. For all other obstacles either affect the body only, which is a dead thing, or, except through opinion and the yielding of the reason itself, they do not crush or do any harm of any kind. For if they did, he who felt it would immediately become bad. Now, in the case of all things that have a certain constitution, whatever harm may happen to any of them, that which is so affected becomes consequently worse. But in such a case, a man becomes both better, if one may say so, and more worthy of praise by making a right use of these accidents. And finally, remember that nothing harms him who is really a citizen, which does not harm the state, nor yet does anything harm the state, which does not harm law, order. And of the things that are called misfortunes, not one harms law. What then does not harm law does not harm either state or citizen. To him who is penetrated by true principles, any common precept, even the briefest, is sufficient to remind him that he should be free from grief and fear. For example, this is like a little inset. Leaves, some the wind scatters on the ground. So is the race of men. End of quote. Leaves also are your children, and leaves too are they who cry out as if they were worthy of credit and bestow their praise, or on the contrary, curse or secretly blame and sneer. And leaves, in like manner, are those who shall receive and transmit a man's fame to later times. For all such things as these are produced in the season of spring, as the poet says. Then the wind casts them down. Then the forest produces other leaves in their places. But a brief existence is common to all things, and yet you avoid and pursue all things as if they would be eternal. A little time, and you will close your eyes, and whoever has attended you to your grave soon will lament another. But we're almost finished, and we are going to read Elegy in a Country Churchyard. So I'm happy that this guy went back to the death theme. The healthy eye ought to see all visible things and not say, I wish for green things. For this is the condition of a diseased eye, and the healthy hearing and smelling ought to be ready to perceive all that can be heard and smelled. And the healthy stomach ought to be with respect to all food, just as the mill with respect to all things that it is formed to grind. And accordingly, the healthy understanding ought to be prepared for everything that happens. But that which says, let my dear children be safe, and let all men praise whatever I may do, is an eye that seeks for green things, or teeth that seek for soft things. There is no man. I actually have mentioned this before. Like I'll take anything this guy is dishing out, but just let my children be safe. And he literally don't even ask that. Like, I'm asking for that. Like, I get to pray. You don't, I guess. But yes, let my dear children be safe. There is no man so fortunate that there shall not be by him, when he is dying, some who are pleased with what is going to happen. Suppose that he was a good and wise man. Will there not be at last someone to say to himself, let us at last breathe freely, being relieved from this schoolmaster? It is true that he was harsh to none of us, but I perceived that he tacitly condemned us. This is what is said of a good man, but in our own case, how many other things are there for which there are many who wish to get rid of us? You will consider this then when you are dying, and you will depart more contentedly by reflecting thus. I'm going away from a life in which even my associates, in behalf of whom I have striven so much, prayed, and cared, themselves wish me to depart, hoping perchance to get some little advantage by it. Why then should a man cling to a longer stay here? Do not, however, for this reason go away less kindly disposed to them, but preserving your own character, friendly and benevolent and mild, and not as if you were torn away, but rather should your withdrawal from them be as that gentle slipping away of soul from body that we can see when a man makes a peaceful end. For nature united you to them, and now she dissolves the union. I am separated as from kinsmen, not, however, dragged while resisting, but without compulsion. For this, too, is one of the things according to nature. Accustom yourself as much as possible on the occasion of anything being done by any person to inquire with yourself, for what object is this man doing this? But begin with yourself and examine yourself first. Remember that this which pulls the strings is the thing that is hidden within. This is the power of persuasion. This is life. This, if one may say so, is man. And contemplating yourself, never include the vessel that surrounds you and these organs that are attached to it, for they are like an axe, differing only in this, that they grow from the body. For indeed, without the cause that moves and checks them, there is no more use in these parts than in the weaver's shuttle, the writer's pen, and the driver's whip. So that ends book 10. We have a few minutes, so I'm going to not read book 11. Next time I'll read book 11 and 12, and then we're going to have a tiny but exciting conversation with Daniel Natal. I can't wait. I think he's probably going to explain it to me, like the whole thing. He's probably going to help me make that consistent with my other beliefs. Anyway, no, I want to read this Elegy in a Country Churchyard. Let me find it. Yes, by Thomas Gray. And if I'm not mistaken, Thomas Gray, I think Thomas Gray was like in some war between Canada and the US. I'm looking it up right now. He was an English poet. Between the it was probably the Revolutionary War. Let me see. He was an English poet, letter writer, and classical scholar at Cambridge, being a fellow first of Peterhouse, then of Pembroke. He is widely known for his elegy written in a country churchyard, published in 1751. Gray was a self-critical writer who published only 13 poems in his lifetime, despite being very popular. He was even offered the position of poet laureate In 1757, after the death of Kali Kibber, though he declined. Um, well, I must have been thinking of somebody else. I thought he was in the service at one point. Oh well, must have been somebody else. All right, it's a great poem though. Check it. All right, Elegy written in a country churchyard by Thomas Gray. The curfew tolls the knell of parting day. The lowing herd wind slowly o'er the lea. The plowman homeward plods his weary way and leaves the world to darkness and to me. All right, let me do that again. The curfew tolls the knell of parting day. The lowing herd wind slowly o'er the lea. The plowman homeward plods his weary way and leaves the world to darkness and to me. Now fades the glimmering landscape on the sight, and all the air a solemn stillness holds, save where the beetle wheels his droning flight, and drowsy tinklings lull the distant folds. Save that from yonder ivy-mantled tower, the moping owl does to the moon complain, of such as wandering near her secret bower, molest her ancient solitary reign. Beneath those rugged elms that yew trees shade, where heaves the turf in many a moldering heap, each in his narrow cell forever laid, the rude forefathers of the hamlet sleep. The breezy call of incense-breathing morn, the swallow twittering from the straw-built shed, the cock's shrill clarion or the echoing horn, no more shall rouse them from their lowly bed. For them no more the blazing hearth shall burn, or busy housewife ply her evening care. No children run to lisp their sire's return, or climb his knees the envied kiss to share. Oft did the harvest to their sickles yield, their furrow oft the stubborn glebe has broke. How jocund did they drive their team afield, how bowed the woods beneath their sturdy stroke. Let not ambition mock their useful toil, their homely joys and destiny obscure, nor grandeur hear with a disdainful smile the short and simple annals of the poor. The boast of heraldry, the pomp of power, and all that beauty, all that wealth e'er gave, awaits like the inevitable hour. The paths of glory lead but to the grave. Nor you, ye proud, impute to these the fault, if memory o'er their tomb no trophies raise, where through the long-drawn aisle and fretted vault, the pealing anthem swells the note of praise. Can storied urn or animated bust back to its mansion call the fleeting breath? Can honor's voice provoke the silent dust, or flattery soothe the dull, cold ear of death? Perhaps in this neglected spot is laid some heart once pregnant with celestial fire, hands that the rod of empire might have swayed, or waked to ecstasy the living lyre. But knowledge to their eyes, her ample page, rich with the spoils of time, did ne'er unroll. Chill penury repressed their noble rage, and froze the genial current of the soul. Full many a gem of purest ray serene, the dark, unfathomed caves of ocean bear. Full many a flower is born to blush unseen, and waste its sweetness on the desert air. Some village Hampton that with dauntless breast the little tyrant of his fields withstood, some mute inglorious Milton here may rest, some Cromwell guiltless of his country's blood. The applause of listening senates to command, the threats of pain and ruin to despise, to scatter plenty o'er a smiling land, and read their history in a nation's eyes. Their lot forbade, nor circumscribed alone their growing virtues, but their crimes confined, forbade to wade through slaughter to a throne, and shut the gates of mercy on mankind. The struggling pangs of conscious truth to hide, to quench the blushes of ingenuous shame, or heap the shrine of luxury and pride with incense kindled at the muse's flame. Far from the madding crowd's ignoble strife, Their sober wishes never learned to stray. Along the cool, sequestered vale of life, they kept the noiseless tenor of their way. Yet even these bones from insult to protect, some frail memorial still erected nigh, with uncouth rhymes and shapeless sculpture decked, implores the passing tribute of a sigh. Their name, their years, spelt by the unlettered muse, the place of fame and elegy supply, and many a holy text around she strews that teach the rustic moralist to die. For who to dumb forgetfulness a prey, this pleasing, anxious being ere resigned, left the warm precincts of the cheerful day, nor cast one longing, lingering look behind. On some fond breast the parting soul relies, some pious drops the closing eye requires. Even from the tomb the voice of nature cries, even in our ashes live their wonted fires. For thee, who mindful of thine honored dead, dost in these lines their artless tale relate. If chance by lonely contemplation led, some kindred spirit shall inquire thy fate. Haply some hoary headed swain may say, oft have we seen him at the peep of dawn, brushing with hasty steps the dews away, to meet the sun upon the upland lawn. There at the foot of yonder nodding beech that wreathes its old fantastic roots so high, his listless length at noontide would he stretch, and pour upon the brook that babbles by. Hard by yon wood, now smiling as in scorn, muttering his wayward fancies he would rove, now drooping woeful wan like one forlorn, or crazed with care, or crossed in hopeless love. One morn I missed him on the customed hill, along the heath and near his favorite tree. Another came, nor yet beside the rill, nor up the lawn, nor at the wood was he. The next with dirges due in sad array, slow through the churchway path we saw him borne. Approach and read, for thou canst read, the lay, graved on the stone beneath yon aged thorn. The epitaph. Here rests his head upon the lap of earth, a youth to fortune and to fame unknown. Fair science frowned not on his humble birth, and melancholy marked him for her own. Large was his bounty, and his soul sincere. Heaven did a recompense as largely send. He gave to misery all he had, a tear. He gained from heaven, 'twas all he wished, a friend. No farther seek his merits to disclose, or draw his frailties from their dread abode. There they alike in trembling hope repose, the bosom of his Father and his God. I just love that one. It's so great. It's just a churchyard, and who lays there? Maybe a Napoleon, maybe a Hitler, maybe a Beethoven, and even they are all in the grave. But I don't even think it's sad. I think it's nice, and I love it, and I'm happy to share it with you. And thank you for hanging around. And yeah, I won't see you again until after Christmas. And every once in a while, if I'm sad about what's happening in the world, because I read the news, so you don't have to. I think I every once in a while just pray like, God save us all. Just save us. And he's coming. So that's why I love Christmas. What hope, what joy. Thank you. Thank you for saving us. Yeah, love you guys. Thank you so much for coming. And I've got big snaps from Daniel. Thank you. Yes, yes, yes. I really tried. I thought that was a good one. Have awesome family time and be grateful for what we have. Really be grateful for what we have. I think air conditioning, we don't have lice. Be grateful. Anyway, thank you so much. And I will see you once before the new year. All righty. Bye, everybody.